Not Elbonia at all. And there are blonde girls, not babies with beards. Sorry if I offended anybody. I'll probably do it again. So, preparations, right, before the attacks. The 9th of May approaches. And, well, online attacks are expected, and that's because the 9th of May is a pretty big date. I believe it's the victory date of the Russians over Nazis. Yeah. And the Estonian CERT and the ASO, which is the government ISP, yeah, let's just try and imagine that in the States. One ISP for the whole government. Okay. Just think about it for a second. So, the government is still in work for the ISPs, right? Okay, so strong server is prepared. They spoke on the phone and said, hey, you know, the 9th of May is approaching. There's this statue issue in the middle of the city. Why don't we go and prepare a very strong server behind a protected network that we can actually move websites to if we have a big problem, if somebody attacks us. And they have been attacked in the past, but nothing on a really big scale. So it seemed like a pretty good approach. And they did something extra, which was contact websites that were likely to be attacked and say, can you prepare a plain text version that you can serve in case of real problems? And they said, sure. So these are the preparations they went through. Nothing too significant, but, well, pretty good, in my opinion. And, well, the attack started. So Saturday, the 27th of April, 10 p.m., we have the attacks. And at 2 a.m., there is a phone update. The ASO manager calls Hillel from the CERT, who was abroad at the time, and says, well, you see, we have some government websites under attack, as we expected. And, well, the servers are holding up. And, you know what? The sites that are under attack, let's move them, Hillel says, to this protected server so that we can prevent any problems from surprising us tomorrow morning. And, well, 6 a.m., for an update, there are more targets, and, well, the well-protected server is really under stress. It's up, but it's not doing very well. So, in the evening, everybody meets up together at the ASO's offices, and that's the ISP professionals, networking professionals, the people from the CERT, from the ASO, all around, the banks, and they see a lot of attacks, ICMP echo floods, DNS attacks, SYN floods, just traffic. A lot of stuff coming their way, just DDoS. Nothing significant, but still, nothing that hasn't been seen before on the internet, but it's enough to take them down. They're still online, they're fighting, and I mean, this doesn't look too sophisticated to any of us. I mean, we have seen many reports of attacks in the past, but for them, it's big because, hey, we're crumbling over here. What's going on? What happened? And they all meet up. So these attacks resulted in an increased traffic at 100 to 1,000 times from normality. Now, I'm not sure how much bandwidth you keep for a rainy day, but it's not 100 to 1,000 times from normality. The reason we can't tell exactly how much times it was bigger, is because collecting information at that point became somewhat problematic. The lines were, well, full. And they analyzed the attacks and proceeded with regular incident response. So far, so good. Well, not so good, but you understand the point. So the 28th of April shows up. They have another staff meeting. And the attacks are more successful, really problematic. And they're getting to the realization that this is not a regular attack. And they start calling this a cyber riot. We'll speak about why it was called a cyber riot in a second. But let's stop here and discuss what was happening in Estonia at the time. The statue, I'm not sure how many of you have the background of what actually happened in Estonia at these times, and if you don't, you'll have to search for it online. But basically there was a statue that was a war memorial with graves under it for the anonymous soldier, I believe. And this was for the Russians' victory over the German forces. And the Estonians decided to move it. Now, when I was in Estonia, I tried to understand the two sides. And every time I thought I was on Estonia's side, I heard something from Russians and went to the Russian side. And this kept going because I honestly, coming from Israel, I wasn't able to get in touch with the story. Whenever somebody would do something nice, somebody would do something bad. No reason whatsoever. But both sides have good claims, but eventually it was Estonia was under attack. So these things were happening in the streets. There were riots about this moved statue and the moved graves. And at the same time, this all started on the internet. So this is really fuzzy background information, but let's just say there were riots about something in the streets, the police was handling it, and then the attacks online started. So now we have a ton, well, not specifically a ton, but a lot of Russian language websites that basically speak of these, sorry for the language, fucking Estonian fascists. If you ask any Russian, they'll tell you why the Estonians are spoken of in this fashion. But they get really upset about this. For Russia, the 20 million or 30 million lost during World War II is a very sensitive issue. And so they attack. And this is not really, just like we mentioned earlier, just one group or just one organization that launches an attack against Estonia. It's a population. And that's one of the distinctions with this attack that we'll see exactly what happened in a few minutes. So an agreement was reached, and what the Estonian CERT basically said was, look, we've all been on our feet for 3 days now, trying to respond to this. And this was emergency mode. We have to move this to routine. We have to routinely respond to all these attacks and make sure that Monday morning, this was very lucky that it happened over the weekend. We have to make sure that Monday morning, everything works. Go to sleep. Report back at 6 a.m. And that's what happened. So they got back to work at 6 a.m. And that's what the blogosphere looked like in the resulting Estonian aftermath. I really like this picture. It was at one Estonian newspaper. I am sorry I don't have the URL for you right now. So the picture itself will not be in the presentation you will be given, or if you ask for it anyway, for copyright reasons. But I believe it's a very good portrayal of the whole attack. We have the guy with the Kalashnikov over there, and, well, you got the picture. So you can still go to Google and try to search for this Latin phrase, and you will find a lot of different blogs, forums, Russian language websites, basically telling people, here is how you attack Estonia. And one of these simple examples, sorry, anybody here can read Russian? Yes. Any volunteers? To just translate it into one line? Yeah? Just go for it. Dimitri, I think that's good. So basically, no, he did a good job, but that's what I waited for. That's Dimitri, and he's a very good guy. So basically, they give them instructions, and he got to the critical point. Oh, do CMD, it will open a console window for you, right? In that console window, do ping, blah, 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 Estonian website, click enter. Click the up button, click enter. Click the up button, click enter again. So these simple instructions for how to attack Estonia, provided with a very simple tool for the entire population to use. Now let's stop for a second. Even if 1 million people right now over the next hour go and do ping, enter, the likelihood of some of these websites going down is extremely low. We should not underplay this. Pings can still be significant, but come on. So, there are some other tools, just simple batch scripts, for example, that automate it a little bit. We snipped out a long list of targets, but again, many different tools were created. But this was not what was interesting. The blogosphere was actually updated, whether it was daily or every couple of days, with, okay, guys, that isn't working, let's try that. Oh yeah, look at that defense, we should try that. But you know, as far as I try to describe it, it was more like, okay, today you use this tool. Today you attack these addresses. So the blogosphere was responding to what was happening in the Estonian defense. So on the Estonian side, what happened was that there was ad hoc intelligence. Some few hundred is our best estimate. Estonian citizens speaking Russian volunteered without any official forum or any organization and started going to all the Russian blogs. And through their networking, through their social wealth, they managed to reach the CERT and say, hey guys, this is what's happening right now. And the CERT was actually able to go out and say, tomorrow is DNS day. We need to prepare our DNS servers or watch them more closely. So that was pretty interesting. Here, for example, I took this from the F-Secure blog, or weblog. DDoS attacker, download and use, right, specifically for Estonia. So other people were on this blogosphere, not just pinging Estonian websites, but rather doing something extra, creating specific tools, doing some more sophisticated attacks. I mean, let's just look at the ASO itself, which is the ISP for the government in Estonia. So after the initial filtering, it went from 4 megapackets per second of ICMP echo to 1.2 megapackets per second. The line itself is 10 megabits only, and it was full. Couldn't really do much, and the ISP uplink Elion was also under some trouble. So Cisco Guard, which was there by almost mistake, was ready for a pilot really, was put in place on Elion, and from 1.2 megapackets per second, it went to 150 kilopackets per second. And they configured Cisco Guard a little bit further, and it went down to 3 kilopackets per second. So that was pretty useful, to be honest. Just that one attack at the 27th, 28th of April. But that's just one attack. Again, 4 megapackets is significant. That's pretty big, right? 4 million packets will take down many different people. But it's not that big. We'll talk about it in a few. Now, the traffic consisted of again, 3 megapackets of ICMP echo attacks, 1 megapacket of SYN attacks. Well, not really clear over there. 150 kilopackets of other types of attacks, and then just only 3 kilopackets of legitimate traffic. Of course, this is the weekend, but it gives you a good understanding of what happened only in that original attack. So only 3 kilopackets of legitimate traffic. That's pretty amazing. Now, comparing this with attacks on the root DNS servers or on some big ISPs, we're saying 4 megapackets per second? Okay, if you attack my DSL line, maybe. I'm kidding. But we know it's a significant attack, but looking at it from the perspective of people who have been under major attacks, we say, I mean, come on, that's nothing. But it was sizable, and it was the right size for Estonia.